Hi kids, time for us to have another story. So of course for the story we need a book. There we are. This is a special book. This is The Bully Frog by Renata Moore. Once upon a time there was a bully frog. This bully frog was not the biggest of all the frogs in the pond, but he was the meanest. He would call the little frogs names and would kick the bigger frogs with his strong back legs. He would sit on the loveliest lily pad in the pond. It was beside the biggest bulrush of all the bulrushes in the pond. Since all the other frogs feared him, Bully Frog made up rules, and the other frogs obeyed him. One rule was that no other frog shall sit on a lily pad until Bully Frog is given 10 flies. Whenever Bully Frog made up a rule, he would climb up his bulrush and broadcast the news as if he was speaking into a microphone. This made him feel even more powerful.
Come on, all you warty little toads.
He would croak.
Can't you even catch 10 flies? Can't got your tongue?
He cackled in a Bully Frog sort of way as he watched the other frogs struggle to catch 10 flies so they too could have a cozy lily pad to stretch out on.
Come on, you warty little toads.
He would croak. Bully Frog ate well every day. In fact, that's all he did. He croaked insults at the other frogs and then waited for the tens and tens and tens of flies to be brought to him. And he ate, and he ate, and he ate.
Keep those flies coming, you slimy creatures.
Called Bully Frog, holding on to his bulrush. Then he slid down the bulrush, just in time to bop another frog on the head for swimming too close to his pad.
Bully Frog needs his space, you swamp dweller.
He croaked, and he held his belly and he laughed his sinister laugh. He could barely get his arms around his belly since all he did every day, all day, was eat the flies that were brought to his lily pad. He never swam anymore because he would not have to leave the best lily pad beside the biggest bulrush. Besides, all his meals were delivered right to his pad. Then one day, after eating 10 more flies, which made a total of about 1,020 flies, Bully Frog felt cold water under his belly. He looked around to kick whoever was responsible for splashing water onto his lily pad, but he could see no one. While he was looking around, he felt the water creep over his back.
The water must be rising,
thought Bully Frog. So he climbed onto the bulrush beside him. But the bulrush broke, and he landed back on the sinking lily pad. And Bully Frog sank too. He was too heavy for the beautiful lily pad, and too heavy for the big bulrush, and too heavy to swim. With a clunk and a slurp, he landed on the bottom of the pond. The fish swam around him, not knowing what to make of this large blob.
Get the other frogs to come and lift me out of here, you scaly creature.
Bully Frog demanded of the fish closest to him. The fish stopped swimming and stared at him.
What's the matter? Did your brains fall out of your gills? Do as I say, and now.
The fish stared at Bully Frog a little longer and then started to laugh.
Come over here.
She called to her friends.
There's a great glob of a bully frog who thinks he rules the pond.
The other fish gathered around Bully Frog.
Did you not hear me? How can you swim in schools if you have no brains?
He chortled.
Do as I say and bring some frogs to carry me back to my lily pad.
Now all the fish laughed. The laughter created many bubbles. The bubbles surrounded Bully Frog, and as he tried to speak, he swallowed so many bubbles that he burped, and burped. This made the fish laugh even more. Meanwhile, the other frogs were delighted to see that Bully Frog had disappeared, and they each climbed onto a cozy pad. Bullifrog's pad was now at the bottom of the pond with Bullifrog on it. However, no sooner did the frogs get cozy on their lily pads when great huge bubbles appeared. The bubbles knocked the frogs off their peaceful perches. "Let's see where these air circles are coming from," called one frog, and they all dove under the water together. You can imagine their surprise when they spied Bullifrog sitting on his lily pad, holding what was left of his bullyrush in the mucky muck at the bottom of the pond. Bullifrog tried to command the other frogs to carry him to the surface of the pond, but all he could do was burp. Every time he tried to speak, he burped instead. "You hear us?" the other frogs asked, curious that Bullifrog had not yet said anything. Bullifrog wanted to say,
Of course I can hear you, you slimy bottom dwellers.
when he realized that it was he who was stuck at the bottom of the pond. So Bullifrog nodded his head and burped again and began to cry. And he cried and cried and cried, and all the water from the tears burst the bubbles.
I'm so sorry for being such a mean bullifrog.
He thought to himself.
If I could speak, I would tell these frogs that if I ever get off the bottom of the pond, I would give up my lily pad and my bullyrush and be their friend, if they would let me.
All the frog's eyes bulged wide open. When the tears burst the bubbles, the burping stopped and they could understand every word Bullifrog said. "You want to be our friend?" asked the frogs, not quite believing what they had heard.
Yes, friends. I'll change the rules. You only have to catch 5 flies for me in order to get on a lily pad.
Said Bullifrog, regaining his confidence. "But if we leave you on the bottom of the pond, we don't have to catch any flies for you. And we can choose our own lily pads and swim and sunbathe and eat when we choose." "Yes," chimed in another frog. "In fact, that's what we were doing when we were interrupted by the bubbles." "That's right," echoed another frog. "Why should we help you now? It's your own fault that you're stuck on the bottom. You made us work so hard catching the flies that you ate way more than the Bullifrog should ever eat. And then you sank."
But I always let you sit on the lily pad when you brought me flies,
called Bullifrog.
and I only kicked you when you came too close to my space. And I only kept the nicest lily pad because I needed to be close to the biggest bullyrush. And I only needed to be close to the biggest bullyrush so that you could hear my announcements. And you needed to hear my announcements so that you would know the rules that I was making.
The other frogs looked at Bullifrog and then, without speaking, formed a little circle. They whispered together for what seemed like a long time. Finally, they turned to Bullifrog and said, "We've decided that you should stay on your lily pad with your bullyrush at the bottom of the pond for a little while longer,"
But why longer?
whined Bullifrog. "You will see," said the other frogs, and they left. Bullifrog spent a lonely night in the mucky muck on the bottom of the pond. Every now and then a little fish would swim past and tickle his webbed feet. And at first, he found it extremely bothersome, but after a while, he started to giggle. He was thankful for the few creatures he saw. Then, early the next morning, he was visited by a frog. "Good morning," greeted the frog.
Yahoo!
Called Bullifrog.
You've come to save me from this mucky place.
"Oh no," laughed the frog. "I've come to introduce myself to you. My name is Fiona. I have 4 children, Fred, Fran, Ferdinand, and Frida. When you used to make us bring you flies all day long, I was sometimes too tired to feed my children."
4 little frogs swam toward Bullifrog. He had never before noticed how adorable little frogs were. Before Bullifrog could say anything, Fiona and the children were gone. Now Bully Frog felt really lonely. He thought about how he used to live on top of the pond. He thought about the little frogs. He passed another lonely night with just the odd fish tickling his toes. The next morning, another frog came and introduced himself and told Bully Frog how the loud announcements he made daily with his bully rush really hurt his ears. He was an old frog named Fellini. When he swam away, his webbed feet moved about as slowly as the turtle beside him. Each night was lonely, but every morning, another frog would come and visit. Bully Frog was struck how different each frog was. He never noticed how many colors of green there were. He had never noticed how different their voices were. He had never noticed anything at all except how many flies he got to eat. As the days passed and he met more and more frogs and heard more about their lives, he was struck about how kind they were to each other.
Who has the best lily pad and the best bully rush now that I'm on the bottom of the pond?
He asked one visitor. The frog looked at Bully Frog in wonderment. Why would any frog want to stay on the same lily pad all the time? She asked. We sit on different lily pads every day. From some you can see the sunset. From others you see the sunrise. From some you can catch big blue bottle flies. From others you can play with the fish. Some lily pads are good to stretch out on for an afternoon nap, and others are good for basking in the sun. Sometimes we play a game of leapfrog from one lily pad to the next. Other days we play musical lily pads. When the birds sing, we hop from pad to pad, and when they stop singing, we stay perfectly still. When they sing again, we hop away. That's my favorite game because it drives the water spiders crazy. They say the waves get so big that water gets up their noses. And so it went for many days. After each visit, Bully Frog felt a feeling he had never felt before. He felt as though he had friends for the first time in his life, and he had even stopped asking them to carry him off the bottom of the pond. In fact, he had forgotten that he was supposed to be unhappy, stuck in the mucky muck on the bottom of the pond. One day, after a visit from another frog, he felt very light of heart. In fact, he felt so light that he started to float toward the surface of the pond. In all the days and nights that Bully Frog sat on the bottom in the mucky muck at the bottom of the pond, he could only eat whatever was within reach. And so every day he got a little lighter. The other frogs had planned for this day. The moment Bully Frog's little eyes peeked out of the pond, he heard a great cheer. Want to join in a game of leapfrog? They called to him. After leapfrog, they played musical lily pads and frog frisbee. Bully Frog played, and played. And then it was time to hunt flies for dinner. For the first time anyone could remember, all the frogs went hunting together. After dinner, Bully Frog climbed up a bully rush and called,
May I have your attention, please?
all the other frogs stared up at Bully Frog.
I have just one rule which I must insist upon.
He croaked. The pond was dotted with eyes bulging in disbelief.
From this day on, there will be
He paused a moment to watch all the different expressions.
no more rules. Gotcha.
And with those words, all the frogs, young and old, laughed as they climbed up the bully rushes and slid down into the water. This was Bully Frog's favorite game. But the water spiders didn't like it because they got water up their noses.
Here's a story about a bully frog. Just close your eyes and imagine this. He's not a cute little pond dweller. No, he's a nasty, pushy bully fella. This bully frog makes a lot of rules he wants you to obey. Climbs way up on his bully rush to blast an answer that would make you blush. He says, bring me more flies, bring me more flies, bring me more flies. Other frogs work hard to catch him flies, deliver to his bulliness. Work all day, no time for the games. The way he treats him is a crying shame. Bully Frog just sits around and eats, never leaves his pad for a swim. So now he's nasty, pushy, bully, and smelly. As cold water rushes under his belly, he says, bring me more flies, bring me more flies, bring me more flies. Why should we be serving you? Who made you the king? You're looking out for yourself. Looks like you're sinking. Looks like you're sinking. Looks like you're sinking down. Here's a story about a bully frog. Just close your eyes and question this. This nasty bully who's rough and rude will ever change his attitude from just bring me more flies, bring me more flies, bring me more flies. Just bring me more flies, bring me more flies, bring me more flies.